hand on your heart, look up at the sky, smile, and say, hey, I'm alive. Thanks for being alive with me today. Hey, and welcome to Be Alive with Kate Manser. Today's episode is all about how courage factors into living our most alive life. First of all, what is living an alive life? That is what this show is meant to explore. I believe that living our most fulfilled life, living our most alive life, living our best life, whatever adjective you want to throw in there, all of those are deeply personal. What does fulfillment mean to you? What does aliveness mean to you? What does best life mean to you? And that's why when I wrote my first book, I got comments from my beta readers and editors. There were some comments like, you should be more prescriptive. You should tell people exactly what to do. Ultimately, I did not take that feedback for the most part because I feel passionately that building our own critical thinking and understanding our individual values is the most important and valuable gift I could ever imagine trying to help you receive. And so living alive is something for you to figure out. Now, based on my decade of research, I have absolutely discovered some themes that many people share, both people who are highly successful, ordinary people, happy people, sad people, and of course, the people who are on their deathbed who either have gotten to the place on their deathbed where they feel really good about how they lived, or we can look at the top regrets of the dying. One theme that comes up is courage. I love that quote. I saw Cara Delevingne post on Instagram once, and it has always stuck with me. But it was that everything you want is on the other side of fear, which sounds a little bit ominous at first. But if you think about it, and if you think about the element that fear entails is that element of courage, right? So the idea of courage is that there has to be fear. I don't think we can really have courage without fear because if we don't have fear, we're just doing something and courage is therefore not required. Inextricably linked here, we have courage and fear. Everything I want, everything you want is on the other side of some modicum of fear. It could be a big fear. It could be a little fear. But what I encourage you to focus on is not that element of fear, but rather focus on courage. Because on the other side of courage is growth, right? If everything we want is on the other side of fear, then everything we want to be is on the other side of courage. Our dreams, our aspirations, our many purposes, which I affectionately like to call our porpi, because I don't necessarily believe that we have one single purpose in life. It's all on the other side of courage. So today's episode is exploring, why do we need courage? How does it factor into an alive life? And then how do we cultivate it? What is our why for courage? So when we need it most, where can we pull that why from so that we can be courageous and brave? I love this quote by Elizabeth Gilbert from her book, Big Magic, which I highly recommend. And this quote that Elizabeth Gilbert often states, she's really talking about it in relation to creativity. But creativity is, again, an activity in our lives that requires an inherent aspect of courage. And her quote is that creativity is living a life driven more by curiosity than by fear. What does that mean? Well, it means we judge ourselves less and approach our failures, our idiosyncrasies, our process, our experience of life with curiosity, as opposed to self-victimization, as opposed to fear, as opposed to reticence. This idea of approaching life more with curiosity than fear, just think about those two adjectives. Fear is getting smaller, it's shrinking. It's sort of looking side to side. It's the hands up, being afraid, reticent, in scarcity, feeling taken advantage of and feeling like a victim. And then we think of the courageousness and that curiosity as it's outward, it's open. Curiosity is looking around. Courage is standing tall and proceeding forward despite and because of fear. I always point to my throat when I talk about openness because this is a very vulnerable space physically as well as energetically in ourselves and our throat. So exposing our throat could be dangerous, right? If somebody had a knife. But then this idea of communicating, of speaking up, of speaking our truth, of speaking up for others, of proceeding forward, that's also vulnerable. It's like that idea of sticking your neck out. That is what courage is often, is we have to stick our neck out a little bit into the unknown. But jumping from fear to courageousness or courage can often be a really big jump. So, what is in the middle between fear and curiosity and courage? I think it's noticing. I think it's awareness. Awareness of when we are constricting versus when we're opening up. Awareness of when we feel like the world is against us versus awareness of what is perhaps a more adaptive or logical thought. So, where does the motivation to be courageous come from? So, number one, set courage as a value. Maybe you have a list of your values on your phone or on your journal, or even just really set that in your heart, mind, and soul. That courage is a foundational value for me, and it is something that is not only required to get me to my dreams and to live this fulfilled life, but courage in itself is the experience that I desire to cultivate in my life. So set that. Many of us have heard that saying, the only difference between fear and exhilaration is our perspective on it, that really physiologically, fear and exhilaration have almost the same symptoms. We've got the cortisol, the tightness in the chest, we've got the racing mind, that perhaps nervous feeling. If you're about to go speak on stage, right? It's like you can rebrand that as like, this is amazing and exciting, like the same as riding a roller coaster. And it's so powerful, that mindset shift. And, one thing about me, and I think this is why I have a lot of male coaching clients as well as female, but a lot of male, is because you will always be able to rely on me, that I will blend spirituality and science, and in particular, neuroscience. Everything that I'm talking about here relating to perspective shifts, mindset shifts, this can occur on, let's say, a spiritual or soul level where there's intuition, we're feeling a certain way. But it is also very much based in flipping our neuroplastic architecture in our brain, which is changing our beliefs and our perspectives on things. So if we begin to rebrand fear as exhilaration, if we begin to rebrand courage as a foundational aspect of our lives, which requires fear to exist, we can reprogram our response to fear. Many of us have like a younger or youngest sibling in our family. Youngest siblings tend to have it easier, partly because parents are tending to be more lenient with the children that are born later, as well as with just generally having older siblings who tend to do things for them, who have maybe paved a particular path for them. I think what often happens with these younger siblings is that they don't get a chance often to prove to themselves that they are able to manage fear and have courage. Because when we have things done for us, when we don't have that grit and that friction of challenge and obstacles, I have seen in real life that a lot of those kids end up with low self-confidence. Or they might be late bloomers, right? Like they have low self-confidence. And then when they're older adults, like 30 plus, finally, like the parental plug is pulled, they're finally able to stand on their own two legs and begin falling down to prove to themselves that they can and will get up, and that they can fail, and that it's okay. This is where growth comes from. This is where courage comes from. This is where confidence comes from. It's from that friction, that old adage that says that we all have sand grains in our lives. We are pearls. And it's those sand grains that make us into the biggest, brightest, most luminescent pearls we could ever possibly be without those family members or friends who rub us the wrong way, without the obstacles and challenges and breakups and layoffs and alcoholism and failed business ventures, that we wouldn't be the luminescent pearls that we're meant to be. And along with those failures comes fear. Will I ever succeed? Am I good enough? Should I keep going? Dark nights of the soul. But when we do get up, when we do try again, even if we fail again, we still have that knowledge and experience that we were able to rise up and try again. And that courage is what builds confidence and breeds more courage. That's the cool thing about courage. And really, it's like anything, right? Like the more we do something, the more we are able to build that muscle. So to build your courage muscle, you got to get up. You got to try again. You got to believe in yourself just enough to get up and keep going. I always tell people, I like to draw this scale, and 1 through 10. People think that in order to make this big leap in life or to get up after a fall or a failure, we got to be at a 9 or a 10 level of confidence, when absolutely not. Got to be at like a 5 or a 6. That 5 or 6 where you have just enough to keep going, but not enough that you have to wait a really long time to get up to 9 or 10. Just enough confidence. Go when you're at a 5. Go when you're at a 6. That's the sweet spot, not 10 level confidence and courage. 6, 5, that's your sweet spot. Now, here are 2 other ways to find your why that I offer you to overcoming fear. And when I say overcoming fear, there's not like fear is going to be 0 and then I will go. It's that same scale. We want to get fear from like a 10 down to a 5 or even an 8. So when I say overcoming fear, it means overcoming fear just enough to take action and to take that step. Okay? Because you guys have heard, do it scared. Do it scared. Everything that I've done, all the big leaps that I've taken, the scary shit that I've done, I have been scared shitless. I remember when I had decided to quit my job at Google and travel around the world for a year. Man, I got super excited about it, and I told everybody except my bosses at Google that I was going to quit or give my notice in December. And this was like the summertime. And I got really excited. I told all these people. People were really excited for me. Then a few months down the road, as I was making these plans and running the finances and thinking about actually leaving this amazing job I had at Google, I got really scared. I honestly wanted to pull out and just keep the job at Google and not do this big, amazing thing that I had dreamed of, but was also really scary. But I had told so many people by that point that what got me to not give up on that dream was my pride. I had already told all these people, and I didn't want to retell them that I'd gotten scared or made up some stupid excuse as to why I wasn't going to do that. Some people are in the tell everyone camp and some are in the tell no one camp. I do either based on the dream, but I'm usually more in the tell everyone camp because often it has helped me in a moment of distress and fear, because that's inherent in doing big, cool, courageous things. And that could be anything from like quitting drinking, like I also did, that required a lot of courage and still does. It could be making a commitment to journal. It could be making a commitment to meditation. It could be picking up the phone and apologizing to someone in your life. These are all things that require courage, but also breed growth and fulfillment and aliveness in our lives. I think that's something that many of us struggle with, this fear of being seen, again, of sticking our neck out, of showing ourselves, of putting ourselves out there. Number 1, consider the fact that any of us might die tomorrow. And yet, we have been given unique gifts, talents, flaws, idiosyncrasies, your funny hair, your unique laugh and the way it makes the corner of your eye crinkle up. You have an essence, a way of living and loving and moving through the world. Totally unique to you. What a waste to hide our true vibrance in this life. It's all a limited time offer. You're a limited time offer. This life is a limited time offer. This moment is a limited time offer. Let the finite truth of life, our birth, our life, our mortality, create an urgency and a courage within you to drop inhibition, to nurture your passion, your love, and your courage, and cultivate that courage to be your most wild and wonderful self while you still have the chance. And number 2, stop only thinking about yourself. Remember that your courage has the ability to inspire others. Stop thinking so much about your fear and what you have on the line and how you're sticking your neck out. And think more about how when you do the courageous thing, even if it has nothing to do with the people around you, they will see you. They will be inspired by you. They will be watching you, even if they act like they don't. Think about all the things that you do in your life as the result of a book you read or a podcast or someone that you spoke to or something your family member did. It's recipes and outfits and, oh, this person quit drinking, so I can quit drinking. This person started their business. I bet I could start a business. We are communal creatures. So much of what we do is based on the observation and inspiration from others. Even a person working a job at XYZ restaurant or corporation or landscaper, it doesn't matter if you're like a personal growth professional. You have an aura, you have an impact. You are the main character, even if you don't recognize it. When you are faced with fear and the opportunity to be courageous, let your motivation come from the fact that just by being you, being brave, just by doing what lights you up, just by following your bliss, just by being your weird and wonderful freak flag flying self, you inspire others. You are a stone that is dropped into water. And what you do, what you say, how you act, your energy creates ripples that go on far beyond that which you will ever be able to comprehend. I once asked a wise bouquini, a nun at a monastery in France. I asked her with all earnestness. I'll never forget this day. We sat outside in the afternoon on a blanket, and I just had this question burning in my soul. It was right before my first book was going to come out. And I said, how can I be the best teacher of this message? And she smiled. She looked at me with these kind, loving eyes, and she replied simply, your life is the message. I'll never forget that she said that to me, and it has stuck with me when I need courage, that just by being courageous, I'm making the world a better place. You are a lighthouse. You are the light. You make waves of impact with your every move. I believe that life and being on the path of living our most vibrant and alive self is both a process of creation and destruction. And almost more importantly, first, a process of destruction. Because to be able to have the courage and awareness to create and to be who we want to be and to be that highest version of ourselves, we have so much to destroy along the way. This is what some people call shadow work. This is what some people call the work. This is what some people call the process of spiritual growth and spiritual awakening. But think about what you have to destroy on your path to self-actualization. The denial that we have to the truth. We have to destroy the lies that we tell ourselves. We have to destroy our limiting beliefs. We have to destroy our self-doubt. We have to destroy our scarcity mindset. We have to work through and look at and hold up to the light the traumas and disappointments and obstacles and quote unquote failures that we have experienced in our life journey. We have so much to destroy, to remove out of the shadows, to hold up to the light. And that takes courage. But when you are able to cultivate the courage to look at that stuff, to do the work, that's when you can get to the action, the creation of your uninhibited self, the creation of whatever you want to birth in this world, in this lifetime, whether it's a child or business, a book, a nonprofit, or just a really beautiful lawn full of wildflowers that you planted, or a perfectly detailed car you put a lot of love into. Anything that you want to build that makes you happy, that brings you joy. We have to destroy first. And then we can get that courage and that clarity and that presence to create. It's not about the destination, it's about the path to courage, the path to our most alive life. We got to enjoy it along the way. So, the last thing I will leave you with is to ask you to consider the idea of enjoying fear and consequently enjoying the courageousness that comes along with it. That small mindset shift of something being fear or exhilaration. Notice when you feel fear and when courage is being called for you. Instead of closing up to it, get high on that. That is where the good stuff is. It is beautiful. I believe in you 1000%. Take a little baby step. Notice when you are constricting and allow yourself to move into curiosity and awareness. Keep doing those reps of courage and bravery and awareness. And soon you get taller, your shoulders open up, your chest opens, and you're ready to get to that 5-6 level of courage to proceed in the direction of what's making you happy, your bliss. Go in the direction of what lights you up. That is one way you can make the world a better place every single day. You are the stone in the water, creating ripples that will go far beyond your imagination. Be the lighthouse and have fun every single day. Thank you for joining today. My name is Kate Manzer. This is Be Alive. I can't wait to continue to share this show with you. I have had so much fun creating it. So here's my little plug to say, get my book, You Might Die Tomorrow. I also have the Alive workbook. I have a children's book as well called You Are the Cyan Ocean. Go on my website to check out my coaching options. I'd love to, if we are a match, if you think that my medicine is what you need, some intuitive coaching that blends spirituality and science, someone who can be on your advisory board to give you an outside perspective and help coach you in the direction that you are aiming to go, then give me a ring. Let's talk. Thank you so much for listening. Lots of love.